What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. I had to do it both ways because I caught myself. Somebody the other day was like, why you changed the new video? Because it's my channel, fool. Anyways, so I just, not gonna lie, I finished recording for the other channel about an hour ago, almost an hour ago. Went and bought some groceries, had to take care of a few things, touch the cupboards and the refrigerator back up. And I was about to get on Call of Duty. And I was reading through the comments. And I saw a comment by Reynaldo Vasquez. Reynaldo, what's cracking, big dog? How you doing? And his question was, why is prison so violent? He said, from everything I've heard, prison is all about respect. And I started to respond to him, and I said, you know what, maybe I just make it a video response. I need something on this channel today, and I had a few things written down, but that's a great question. And I think it's a question that a lot of people have, especially when it's put together that way, where isn't prison all about respect? It is. It's about uber respect, though, right? Like hyper respect. I tell people all the time, prison is a microcosm of the world, and it's like every prison is its own planet. It's crazy, man. Again, I can only speak for California. I don't know anything about any other state. People keep asking me to react to other prison systems. And if I can find some videos on how they function over there, maybe I could do that. And when I see certain things, be like, well, in California, it would have been done this way, but that's how they do things there. Doesn't make our way better, but in certain ways, I think it is. Now, as far as the violence in California prisons, let's be clear. Excuse me. While you do see these clips of riots, understand that so in the 90s there was a lot more rioting in California because there was a lot more establishing prisons. You had Calipatria come up, you had Salinas Valley, you had High Desert open up. And another thing that coincided with this during that same time period was family visiting, conjugal visits were taken from lifers around 1996. So you had prisons being established. A lot of times you go to war for the section of yard that you want, right? But then to have family visiting taken, it frustrated a lot of people. And where maybe before there would be some hesitation, there was no longer a reason to hesitate. You had people that were pissed off. So you had that. But I want to make sure that I make it clear, while there are times where there was rioting, most of the violence, the vast majority of violence in California prisons is in-house. It isn't interracial. It's factions cleaning up, weeding out. And I've spoken about this several times where, as far as the raza from Southern California, I think they do the most in-house work. Southerners are whacking Southerners on a regular basis. And a lot of it has to do with the politics, the politicking. Before you would have, I don't want to get too much into it because this is what I plan on doing with the High Desert Effect video that I want to do. But I do want to say that for the most part, it's just in-house cleanups, and this isn't a knock on anyone else. I've spoken about this before, where certain groups, if one of their people makes a mistake, they'll be like, okay, well, he needs to work out every day, the entire yard, no hanging out, no nothing. You got to work out for a week. You know, maybe one faction or a group will do that. Another faction may have you write 30,000 word essay, all in mini writing on a specific topic, and that's their form of discipline. But with the raza from Southern California, it's their discipline is to stab you, and it's a check, but that's what they're gonna do. You know, hold on one second. And usually, if it's a check, when they're whacking you, when they're blasting you, they're gonna tell you it's a check. But they're gonna go ahead and I mean, if you live, you live. And if you gotten a fender bender and they had to tune you up, because that's what we call it. He got a tune up. But with the Southerners, it's gonna be with knives. And you get to the hospital, and if you survive, you're gonna have the decision to make. You were told it's a check. If you want to come back out, cool. Now, you took your medicine. You're going to get, it's going to be explained to you. Most of the time, you know what you did. You knew you had it coming. But then you got to come out and you're in line to do something else. So you passed the heart check. Now you got to put in work. Now you're back programming. That's just how it works over here. So that's why you hear of a lot of violence, because you have a group that has within their discipline to punch holes in you. But it also, you know, and this goes back to the whole argument of who's more disciplined. I think when you have a group that knows when they get disciplined, they may die, it makes them a little more disciplined than any other group where, you know, death isn't going to be part of the solution, so-called solution. Now, as far as respect, I remember when I first got out of prison and I was in San Diego. I've only ridden a bus one time since I got out. And I was sitting down and the bus was packed. And a woman came on the bus and I got her attention and go, come here. And I stood up and I told her, here, you can have my seat. And that woman said, you must have just got out of prison. I said, why you say that? She said, because nobody does that out here. You guys always come out very respectful. Nobody else does that out here. I didn't know that. I thought like that's what men do. But, you know, in prison, they have that saying, what is it? When men were men and women were proud of it. What happened to that time? I know I'm going to get off subject for a second. What happened to that time? I see a lot of the stuff that goes on now with this, you know, generation, and that's a whole nother story, man. Social media, what it has done to society. But anyways, getting back to respect in prison. There are things in prison that you just, society, like, I had a flashback once. I was doing deliveries. When I first got out, I was juggling delivery jobs with my CNC apprenticeship. And I remember I was doing a delivery at a mall in San Diego. And I'm walking. You got to remember, I'm still fresh out. I've only been out, you know, I don't know. I had been out a few months, maybe 8 months or so. And I'm walking and I'm like, okay, where in the hell is this shop at? I got to go in. And behind me, I heard footsteps running. Boom! I spun around, and you don't do that in prison. It was a little kid. He was probably about 10, 11 years old, man. But hearing that, I almost turned around and smacked the shit out of him, because I didn't know that's something in prison you never, ever, unless somebody's walking the track, you don't run up behind anybody. They're going to go into combat mode, right? Out of respect, you'll even hear if somebody's jogging on the track and they're, you know, I'm walking with somebody, you'll hear them say before they even get to you, track, to let you know, like, I'm just jogging, man. I noticed that when I'm around other lifers, other ex-cons, and we speak to people out here, we always say please, thank you, you're welcome. The way we speak to people is to acknowledge them. It's weird, right? Like, there are things that you learn in prison, the most ugly place. And another reason why, let me get a word. Another reason why prison is so violent, it's full of men that have nothing to lose. It's full of men that they will never say it because it would sound weak, but they've lost hope. They've given up any thought of going home, and I get it. People ask me, hey, what were you thinking when you were granted parole? You got to understand, when you're a lifer and you're found suitable by the parole board, right? They have 120 days to finalize that, and then the governor gets another 30 days to decide if he's going to rescind that, if he's going to reject that. So you can have up to 150 days. It isn't like something in the movies where they find you suitable and then the next day you go home. Nah, you got a minimum of 120 days of like, damn, what are they going to do? Me, myself, all I knew was this. I went to my hearing. Within the first 10 minutes of my hearing, something inside of me said, you're going home. My first hearing at the parole board was about 6 hours. The second one, I believe, was an hour and a half, I think, something like that. And I remember when I first went in the board, the thing that in my mind said, damn, they're going to let you go, was the parole board was, everybody has to introduce themselves on record. And I remember the commissioner saying, and here we have the DA, and he's going to have an opportunity to speak on, to let us know how he feels about us paroling you today. I remember he said that, and this is at the very beginning. I was like, in my head, I was like, paroling me today? Like, But anyways, those that have asked what I didn't believe it. I got found suitable. I was like, holy shit. Every day went by, I did the same thing I did before they found me suitable. The day they told me, hey, you got to go to R&R to be released, it's just a walk to R&R for me. I stripped out, I put the clothes on. I'm not out. I didn't believe I was getting out till I got in the car outside the walls, and then I didn't have time to think about it. It was time to go to work, find a job, get a phone, call my family. Didn't have time to think about it. But anyways, hopefully this video answered the question. Maybe it leads to other questions, and if I feel like I can answer them, I can. But just know that it shouldn't be surprising, regardless of how respectful people are in there, it shouldn't be surprising that there is so much violence. You know, when I said that I believe the way that things are done, the politics in California, I believe that it's better than other states. It's because you don't hear, because of the politics, it keeps men in line. You don't hear, like in other states, you hear about people getting raped, people getting punked. You don't hear about that often in California. A man trying to rape another man, I probably got in trouble for even using that word so much in a sentence, is frowned upon. Like, at the end of the day, you are aroused by another man, and that's frowned upon over here. I'm not a homophobe, to each their own, but I'm just telling you, in prison, they look at it as that is a sign of weakness. You are a bad reflection on how bad of a motherfucker we are. And it's frowned upon, and it's rewarded with extreme violence. So in California, we don't have those problems, you know. having grown up in the California Youth Authority, where if you don't like somebody, you go bust him in his mouth. It didn't matter who he was. This is how it was. Having gone through that, constantly fighting, and then go to the California Department of Corrections. Yeah, there were times where I seen homies and I was just like, I know this motherfucker's a coward, eh? But because of the no hands policy, you can't expose that, which it is a good thing at times, because you would see dudes come into the system and like I said, you would know like, this vato don't have it. But when he's asked to perform, he goes and does whatever he has to do. And then it's like a switch turns on. For that world, that's a great thing. You didn't throw him away. You saw the weakness in him, but he fixed it. And he became something you can depend on, someone you could depend on in that world, right? But in the grand scheme of things, that's a sad story, right? Basically, is he had some humanity in him, and prison erased it and made him a savage. I know this video is kind of all over the place. I'm kind of freestyling. Thank you, Reynaldo, for your question. I'm going to start paying more attention to the comments, man. If I see questions in there that I feel may be a good video, at least in my mind, I'll make them. I'll do a response in video form. With that said, everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.